Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner. There's Corey Tackman. Corey, Giannis Watch 2026 continues. The Mike Conley era is over in Minnesota. And a local sports roundup. All of that coming up. But first, let's round up partner at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Yeehaw! The Crantastic Salad is back for a limited time. CJ, the perfect blend of flavors featuring fresh leafy greens, sliced red onions, dried cranberries, crunchy candied pecans, and crumbled feta cheese. Drizzle it with the limited time raspberry walnut vinaigrette. Try it. Try it. Try it, and you may like it, says Sam I Am. Is it Wednesday today, CJ?
Yes, it is.
Double points at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade on Wednesdays in beautiful downtown Wadena.
Okay, Corey, it is time for a little local sports roundup as we catch things up across the listening area and just things that you can find, by the way, when you follow Sports Cow on Facebook. Can I get a moo?
Oh,
moo.
Is that fine?
Yep, I think that works.
Okay.
I think I could have used a little more gut level, like a beller. It's like you got to really like let it build and then crescendo when you do that cowbeller. You see, I just moved cattle with.
How's that?
I helped my dad separate the calves over the weekend, and so it's the first time you separate them from their moms.
They love it, don't they?
You learn why they say cows beller, because they
exact correct word.
It's a fun word to say, but it's also exactly true. It's why also growing up, my brother's room was always closest to the cow yard, and you could hear so they could just hear all night. They could hear cows just bellowing as they tried to go to sleep. Meanwhile, my bedroom growing up was on the other end of the house, so never had to worry about that. All the time. And then sometimes it's like they take a beat, like it's
worst impression of a cow ever in your life? Here, I got a cowbell. Let's add to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoops, that's not the cowbell.
Wrong bell.
The regular.
Yeah, exactly.
Ow.
Sports Cow on Facebook is the place to go to find the local sports updates, and you can see updates like Ty Rooney of Perham gonna play baseball next year at Alexandria Community College for the Legends.
Yep,
great name. And he's gonna be a catcher for them. And there's a quote that says, "We had two catchers on our 2026 board this past year, and we were able to sign both of them, which was a great success." Ty comes from a Perham program that has routinely produced college talent in the last handful of years and is a top high school program in all of Minnesota. Ty gives us more flexibility at the catcher position as our lone left-handed bat. He's a mature, competitive player that we expect to continue his winning ways and contributions with us at Alexandria. That was the update there by the Alexandria Technical and Community College head coach, and couldn't have said it better myself.
Moo.
Congratulations to Ty. Looking at some other milestones, going to Crosby Ironton. Obviously, usually when we say we're going to Crosby Ironton, Corey, we're thinking we're talking Torrey Orline.
Yep.
Not quite the case this time. How about we give it to one of the other scorers on that team in a 105-42 win over Aiken, which insane. Big congratulations, says Crosby Ironton girls basketball, to Lucy Lewandowski. Scored her 1,000th career point in a matchup on Friday, and they say thank you for your many years of hard work. We are so proud. 1,000 career points on top of the 5,000 career points for Miss Orline.
That's a lot of points. If you were to combine, CJ, those two players' points and pit them against our career points, who do you think? Would it be close?
Well, it depends. Are we cubing ours? Because even then, no.
Cubing might not do it.
No, you're gonna need to. You need to do a lot more than that.
Yeah, I don't like our chances.
It's not good.
Way to go, Lucy.
More on the local sports roundup. We're going to New York Mills Wrestling. 50 career pins for Grady of New York Mills Wrestling and getting into that spot. And as you can see, if you go follow Sports Cow on Facebook, got a little picture that we shared from the New York Mills post, getting his 50th career pin.
Way to go, Grady.
Way to go, getting his 50th career pin. Not an easy thing to do.
I thought you said win. You said pin.
Pin.
That's way to go, man.
Pin with a P as in penguin.
Moo.
50 career pins. I know you're saying moo, but if I'm like every once in a while, I think you're booing him.
No, this is a Lou Ford situation. Don't think I'm booing you. I'm looing you.
Lou.
I'm mooing. This is a Sports Cow, baby.
Sports Cow. Taking a look at some other highlights and things like that we need to give a shout out to. Our guy Zeke has been on this beat all season long, but congratulations to the Crosby Ironton Rangerettes and the Holly Nuggets dance teams as they'll be representing Section 4A at the state dance meet coming up at the end of next week.
Moo again. More moos. Moos everywhere. Moos for you. Everyone gets a moo.
Yeah, I guess you're the cow version of Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
But I think that works.
Yeah.
You get a moo, and you get a moo. Everybody gets a moo. It's losing their minds.
I am having a hard time focusing today. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, really? I couldn't tell. One last thing in our local sports roundup here, and this is just always really, really cool. Unified basketball showdown tonight, a rematch of a state tournament game for Monaga and Bemidji squaring off tonight. Corey, how are we feeling about this heavyweight matchup?
We're feeling great. No, this is as big of a rivalry as exists in sports in our area. These two teams are state tournament bound all the time, and it's what's cool too is if you remember last year in our discussions with Isaiah Hahn, the ringleader of kind of all this madness.
Yeah, I think he's in the middle of that picture there.
He sure is. He's the crazy looking fella in the middle of it all. What's been really neat about this too is it's competitive, but it's also turned into this like really they're friends, and who doesn't like to play ball with their friends? Mm-hmm. And as we know from these experiences that it is like it's a pretty unbelievable atmosphere, and Monaga and Bemidji in particular do it as well or better than anyone.
Yeah, when you guys went down to cover the Unified State Basketball Tournament, by the way, first ever radio broadcast of that done by us, didn't like Bemidji bring out like cheerleaders, the pep band? Like, what was kind of the layout for them as they got ready to go down there?
It was, have you ever been to a basketball game before? That's what it was. There's cheerleaders, there's pep bands, there's student sections, there's fans. It is a DJ, wow. Like in arena music. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, and it was really cool of Bemidji to bring everybody down there and to do that. So Heck yeah. Because why wouldn't you? The team made the state tournament. Go celebrate it. So
how many tournaments you ever go to? If making the state tournament can't be a big deal, then what are we doing?
What are we doing? Congratulations to both these programs. Should be a fun one. Bemidji High School, 6:30 tonight. All right, Corey. Giannis Watch 2026 continues. But first, there's a big wrinkle in all of that. Maybe not a big wrinkle in terms of seismic shifting, but one that was kind of seen as a necessary move that whether the Timberwolves acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo or not was going to happen, and that's the Timberwolves moving on from Mike Conley.
Yeah,
it's just a bummer.
It was, for better or for worse, probably time.
Right. And we can eulogize Conley's time in a second, but to look at what this trade is, it was a 3-team trade with the Pistons and the Bulls. Conley is now in the Chicago organization. Jaden Ivey goes to, believe, Chicago as well, and there's a pick swap in there for the Bulls and the Pistons. All the Timberwolves got was cash considerations in the deal and somebody to take on all of Mike Conley's contract. So this trade, basically, it gets the Timberwolves clear away from the second apron, and it gets them underneath the first apron and just a couple million over the luxury tax in the NBA. So it cleared about $10 to $14 million for the Minnesota Timberwolves and their salary. It was described as a penny pinching move. Now, whether it is a penny pinching move for the sake of penny pinching to make the Polads proud, or whether it is a penny pinching move to try and make sure you just have a little more ammo in the tank to take on some contracts, will remain to be seen. But I think even if it is just a penny pinching move at the end of the day, and again, this isn't to eulogize Conley's time here yet, but if we're just talking about this in-season play, Mike Conley just was not helping this team like he used to.
He wasn't, and really probably hasn't. If we're just talking about pure on-court basketball ability, it's probably been a full season and a half now at this point where has been the case. Can the guy still knock down an open corner three? Yeah, until he's dead, as it turns out. Like that's not going to go away. But this lightning quick first step that existed with Mike Conley throughout his career, his playmaking ability, his defensive ability. We talked about it before, but if Chris Paul didn't exist, we'd all be talking about Mike Conley as the point god of that era. Mike Conley
he's Chris Paul with worse marketing.
He was a spectacular player, and the abilities just aren't what they used to be. But that is, of course, not the entire reason, and it's more important to mention this next part. It was not the entire reason why Mike Conley was a Timberwolf. His ability was important, but being a godfather to an immature basketball team, CJ, was absolutely the most important aspect of Conley being a Timberwolf.
Exactly, and I think that's just now the time where we can eulogize Mike Conley. That trade is one of the most important in Timberwolves history, and I can't explain why other than just, first of all, just upgrading that trade in of itself. The Wolves were a team that clearly was not fitting with Gobert, and D'Angelo Russell was going to cause some problems in that locker room, and the Wolves needed just to get him out of there for anybody they could. They didn't just get him out of there in a salary dump, which they could have just done. Not only did they get him out of Minnesota, but in return, they got a second-round pick, they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and they got Mike Conley, all of which have been vital to the Timberwolves. That second-round pick has been used in ammo and things like that, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker was a very, very nice role player for this team the last couple of years, and, of course, Mike Conley being the real centerpiece of this trade. The moment I heard the Timberwolves traded for Mike Conley, I was like, oh, that's going to work. Like, it's just smart to get him on your team. And immediately drained 3 big free throws to send it to overtime in that play-in game against the Lakers. They ended up losing it, but immediately his impact was made. And just to get, like you said, an adult in the room for that 2024-25, the 2023-24 season was huge. To have him there, have a full off season with the team, have him for Anthony Edwards, have him for all those reasons, but also he really helped bridge the gap and showed everybody how you play with Rudy Gobert, which was also another reason why you bring him in the building. And that can't be overstated in how that, was brought together. And on top of that, he just proved to be one of the all around best humans in the NBA. Like, that dude is just pure class. He did everything the right way. And, I think the clip has a much more kind of sad context now, but if you remember when the Wolves got eliminated, Corey, in the playoffs last year, they asked Anthony Edwards, how much, how much does this bother you? How much does this whatever? He's like, it doesn't bother me. He's like, I'm 24. Like, I'm going to be back here. Like, his point is, like, I'm going to have playoff runs in my life. Like, this isn't it for me. Might be like, he's like, Mike doesn't get too many shots at this though. He's like, I feel worse for Mike. I let him down. And the last 2 years, it really felt like that team did try and make a push to, like, let's win this ring for Mike. And Conley even said, hey guys, if, like, I understand you all have your careers ahead of me, but, like, do this for me. Like, give me give me a run at this. And they got close, could never get to the finals, but they got close. Those are the best 2 playoff runs of Mike Conley's career were with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
He's a really special player, and whatever. I have nothing else to add. You said it all exactly correct. It's a bummer that it ends this way. It unfortunately always kind of ends this way for guys like
Cinderella stories in sports very often.
No, and really good players who hang on for a little extra long don't like it fizzles out. It doesn't. It's never it. You don't get to the John Elway experience. You know what I mean? You don't get to just win 2 Super Bowls and retire, and that's the end of it. It usually is like, that guy just cannot do it anymore. How does this transition, though, to I know we have Giannis watch all happening, but there's also some pretty strong rumors out there that the Timberwolves very easily could have had Kobe White and elected to not pursue that option because the Giannis thing seems real.
It seems top of mind. And I think if you're the Wolves, now I think based on my first thought was like, well, you can just trade for Kobe White later. Although now apparently some things have come out that like, whether it's salary or whether it's moving stuff, that Kobe White is probably not, like, it's very unlikely he ends up a Minnesota Timberwolf at this point, but there are still more options you can go get. But yeah, what this Conley thing does is it opens up a roster spot. It gives them a little financial flexibility. And yeah, they could have gotten Kobe White in that trade. Brian Windhorst of ESPN made it sound like they could have gotten him pretty easily in that exchange, but the Wolves wanted the salary cap space more than anything else, which again tends to think there's some people that argue just get Kobe White and figure it out later. You have an extra asset. You can flip him again. But I mean, who knows what those conversations are like inside NBA buildings. Maybe if the Timberwolves take it on, it's going to be too complicated, or maybe nobody else wants Kobe White, or maybe like whatever. The Wolves right now have prioritized Giannis Antetokounmpo. That, I mean, based on all the reporting, and I know we've had conversations on and off the mic about reporting and gossip and all the difference between that, and we've certainly seen plenty of both come out last night. Everybody's reporting that Giannis left the bench and what's happening, and comes back out with a pack of Skittles. So glad we all got up in a tizzy about that for a half hour. But what this all says is the Timberwolves are prioritizing Giannis, and they are going to put themselves in a position to get Giannis. That is first and foremost, which leads me to believe the Minnesota Timberwolves will not make a trade until tomorrow, whether it is Giannis or whether it is no Giannis, let's pivot. Who can we go get? They're going to add somebody. I just don't know who that somebody is yet. But, I mean, honestly, the Wolves are in on Giannis. There is no reason why they wouldn't be. And they wouldn't be in on this if they didn't have a realistic shot. And based off the reporting, this isn't fact, but it kind of feels like Giannis wants to go to the Timberwolves, and the Bucks are willing to listen to see what the Timberwolves have. Does that feel correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the Timberwolves, and was it Miami was the other one?
Miami and Golden State, but then you'll hear reports that like, Miami or Golden State. Giannis isn't really enthused about going to play for Golden State because he doesn't want to get himself labeled as Kevin Durant and things like that, and like the stain it put on his legacy, playing with Steph isn't whatever. So but there has been no reports of like, the only reports have been the Timberwolves just might not have enough ammo. There has been no reports of like, nah, Giannis wouldn't want to play for Finch, or he doesn't want to play for Ant that badly, or it's been Giannis is intrigued at playing next to Anthony Edwards, and the Timberwolves just don't have the draft capital.
So I think what's important in all of this too is there's lots of speculative stuff that we could dive into, and I mean that's the most fun part of this conversation. So I'm not saying we can't do that or shouldn't do that. But I do think what is important is like anybody who is like an actual real reporter, anybody who like has a resume in this world. We're talking about Windhorse. We're talking about Shams. We're talking about a lot of different people. Like they are saying that this is a real thing. And if they're going to say that this is a real thing, all the like aggregator stuff that exists out there is just a wash. What's going to be fascinating over now the course of the next 24 hours is who we haven't heard anything yet about who the third team or fourth team in this is going to be. And once those rumors start to come out, then it becomes like, really real. So I'll be interested to see. That's kind of the next line in all of this. It seems like the Bucks and the Timberwolves are having real conversations. Who is going to be the who's going to be the third team in all of this? That is going to be the real question. The third team, the fourth team, whatever. It's going to be the most fascinating. So anyway, I'm talking in circles now about how this is going to go. But the conversations about Giannis to the Timberwolves are absolutely, completely, and utterly real. What are those pieces going to be? The most recent rumor is that it's the Bucks want Jaden McDaniels and picks. Well, we know that the Timberwolves aren't keen on giving up Jaden McDaniels. And we know that they don't have picks. Remember, they got rid of all those picks when they traded for Rudy Gobert. So because that is the situation, that's where we know another team is going to have to be involved again in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how that's going to work. Nobody really knows how that's going to work. It's going to be fascinating to see. And then the discourse when if a move actually happens, is going to be probably annoying. I don't think what's funny too when I think about this is, even though the conversation is real, right? Even though Brian Windhorst is reporting, or Shams is reporting, or pick somebody for ESPN who's reporting, even though those reports are happening, and even though they're true, what we've learned about the NBA is those reports are true, but it doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to happen. So that will be, it's just another one of these wrinkles in this situation, right? Like, the reporting is true. It doesn't mean that the move is going to happen, that the trade is going to happen, that maybe Jaden is too much. Maybe losing Julius and Nas and Jaden is just too much of an ask, and they're just not going to do it. Maybe not having the requisite picks is enough for the Bucks to not want to make this happen. Maybe there's just a third team that can't get in on this, won't get in on this. Maybe the Bucks just decide that Giannis needs to be a Buck for the rest of his career, and this was scary for them, and they decide they're going to go full commit mode to Giannis the rest of his career. I don't know. There's a lot of still what ifs that exist. Even though the reporting is true, it doesn't necessarily equal Giannis is going to be a Timberwolf or be traded to anybody in particular. Both they're like mutually exclusive things. They can both be true. So I don't know. I'm going to be fascinated to see what happens when this is all said and done. It's fun. Like CJ and I talked about yesterday. The Timberwolves in our lifetimes have often had to make moves for the future. Right. The joke is we're not rebuilding. We're rebuilding. And the Timberwolves are now in a spot in their timeline as a franchise because of Anthony Edwards that they have to take the present seriously. They have to take the right now seriously. So it's fun. It's kind of fun to be a part of the roller coaster as a Timberwolves fan, to be on that. And to be on that roller coaster, like, is this really going to happen? I'm a big believer that the Timberwolves can win a championship with Ant and Jaden and Nas as like the foundational centerpieces of a really good team. I just do. Maybe I'm emotional about it as a fan can be. But they can absolutely win a title with Ant and Giannis. Like, that would be. How could you say no? How would you want to say no to the opportunity to have two superstars on the roster like that? I don't know. I don't know what the right move is. What I do know is I will be emboldened to trust whatever this roster looks like by tomorrow at 1:00. I will just be like, this is the team. This is going to do it. This, you know what? The Timberwolves believe that Jaden and Julius and Nas and Ant, that they can do this. So, and I do too, dang it. Oh, they traded the whole world, and now there's 7 guys on the roster, but 2 of them are Ant and Giannis. This is the team that can do it. The first option, I think, can win it in 2026. I think a team with Ant and Nas and Jaden and Julia, as currently constructed, maybe they need a point guard. Maybe they need to find a guard. That can be determined. But I think that team, that roster construction can win a championship. They've made it to 2 Western Conference Finals, for crying out loud. How can you not think that's good enough? I think a trade for Giannis probably removes the option for a title in 2026. But I do think that the option for 2027 becomes an even stronger argument. So there's just a lot to watch, CJ, kind of in recap. Just because the reporting is true doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I think the roster is currently constructed. Maybe they do need an extra guard, can win a title. I think Ant and Giannis can win a title. The roster is constructed right now, can win one this year. Ant and Giannis probably won't win one. There's probably not a real contention story until 2027.
Right. And, I obviously couldn't catch everything of what you were saying there, but I think overall it's just the Wolves have to decide, is this worth the calculus? And it feels like in the eyes of Tim Conley, who is the head of the Minnesota Timberwolves, we saw it with Rudy Gobert. We saw it with trading for Rudy Gobert. We saw it with trading away Karl Anthony Towns. We've seen it in the Wolves trying to go get Kevin Durant. That didn't work out. We also saw now with trying to go get Giannis. So this is shown, and Tim Conley has said it, there's going to be multiple iterations of the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Anthony Edwards era. And when you have a player like Anthony Edwards, you have to do everything you can to get him. What's going to be the best pathway for Anthony Edwards to get a championship in Minnesota? Pairing him with the top 5 player in the NBA certainly is one way to do it. Now, at the risk of cutting out depth, and I know, like you said, is 2026 or is, maybe 2027 the pathway? Maybe that's true. And they're also just maybe the case of the Wolves are, if we can get Giannis, let's get Giannis and we will figure it out later. Like, let's just get that guy and we will figure out the rest if we have to give up whatever. I missed. Have you said anything about Jaden McDaniels and kind of the holdup right now? So
yeah, Milwaukee wants Jaden and picks.
Yep. Milwaukee wants Jaden and picks. And look, the Wolves should be reluctant to give up Jaden. And look, there's a reason why. The Utah Jazz wanted Jaden McDaniels in the Rudy Gobert trade. And the Wolves were like, we'll give you picks instead because we value Jaden McDaniels. And you can see why they've had such faith. He's having a career year from the 3-point line. He's always been a great defender. And he's getting better and better. We talk about Anthony Edwards hasn't entered his prime yet. Jaden McDaniels is just entering his prime. So there is still that, like, do you just want to keep rolling with Ant and Jaden and see where this goes down the line? Whatever. And of course, with picks, the Wolves are going to have to make some moves to get picks. That's why they need multiple teams in this deal. And Corey, it feels like it's going to need to be a 3, maybe even a 4-team deal, which is probably a lot of the hang up in this that's just a lot of, it's hurting cats in that respect.
Well, yeah. And that's before you disappear, or right after you disappeared. That was kind of the point in all this, is like the reporting that exists right now is true. The thing is we just don't know who the 3rd and or 4th team in all of this is going to be. And that is going to remain a secret until it's damn near happening.
By the way, we've seen reports too that the Bucks may just they've been underwhelmed by offers. They may just hang on to Giannis in the summertime. And that could be true. Don't think a deal is happening today. A deal is not. A deal will happen the day of the trade deadline, the morning of. It is not going to happen today.
I think so that's I think probably the next question, because otherwise we might just rehash a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
If this happens, let's not even for the Timberwolves. If Giannis gets moved,
yep,
ideally to the Timberwolves, are we talking? It's not going to be I don't think a deadline deal, like a 12 noon Eastern deal. Don't you think this is like, we wake up to this news tomorrow morning?
it would be like, yeah, because I think teams that don't get Giannis are going to want to be able to pivot. So I think it's not going to be getting done like 5 minutes before the trade deadline. Like, we'll probably know I can't remember what time exactly it is. It's like 3 PM, 5 PM, noon, whatever time it is. We'll know the morning of, most likely, if it's going to happen or not, because then we'll use the Wolves as an example. We're not getting Giannis. Okay, now let's go get that guard.
I should also mention, though, Timberwolves play tonight, and they play early. They're in Toronto, which is a 6:30 start time.
Haven't won in Toronto since 2004, by the way.
Amazing. But I think that's a really interesting caveat in this, too, because it's one more game for somebody to maybe be in. Like, it's going to be fascinating to see who does and doesn't play tonight, because if some of these names that we've talked about are not playing, we're talking about pen to paper very quickly.
Jaden McDaniels, by the way, had a really nice game on Monday night.
Yeah. Turns out he's good at basketball. I don't know why.
Giannis also hasn't been playing for the Bucks with an ankle injury.
I know.
I wonder how healed up that ankle will be if he has a new jersey.
I will end my thoughts by reiterating this, CJ. No matter what, by 12 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, this is how I'm going to feel. I'm going to feel emboldened on whatever Timberwolves team exists. Hey, all the guys are back. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's prove them wrong, kind of a thing. Or OMG, it's Yanni in Minneapolis. Oh,
let's go. Yeah.
I'm going to, because I'm a fan, I'm going to be all in on whatever this is, because I do think both iterations of what's possible here are going to be good enough to win titles.
Exactly. Let me put it to you on the flip side. I'm ready to cope either way. I'm ready to be like, well, we gave up a lot for Giannis, but that's okay. We got Giannis. Or, yeah, well, we didn't get Giannis, but we got Jaden McDaniels.
You're talking about a roster that could potentially have loosely, generously, maybe disrespectfully, 2 of the top 10 players in the league. And it might be 2 of the top 6.
And one of them is just entering their prime, and one of them is on the end of their prime, but still in their prime.
I mean, should we do it? Should we list them? Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Shea.
Yep.
Luka.
Yep.
Giannis. Then who?
Oh.
At this very instant. Is it Ant?
I mean, I don't know if I go that high for Ant, but I mean, I don't know really. I'm trying to think of who would even be in that spot.
Wembanyama,
maybe, yeah.
You'd probably, if he was healthy, say Jason Tatum.
Yep.
Maybe
Halliburton in that mix, yeah, if he's healthy.
Is like, disrespectfully, it's 2 of the top 10 players in the league. More realistically, it's 2 of the top, let's say, 7 players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me with this? You kind of have to do that.
You might as well. You just gotta and figure it out. Depth is important. Depth wins championships, but
let Conley cook then.
Right, exactly. Like get the star players and figure it out later.
He was a superstar guy at this position. That's why the Timberwolves went and got him. Mm-hmm. Let him do his job then.
Exactly. Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.